Under the full moon, baby. Welcome. Wet Dirt, the MC. Guess the only thing we could do right now is once you hop on in, clear out your mind. Let's take a ride. I appreciate everybody for being out there. I appreciate everybody for subscribing to my channel. I appreciate everybody who's ever liked, watched, studied my videos, got inspiration from my videos, argued under my videos. In that sense, I'm grateful. I'm just here to give a message of perseverance and what it takes sometimes to get to the goal that you have in mind. Depending on what the goal is, determines the test that you have to endure before you get to the goal. Say, for instance, I've been making music all my life. It hasn't been up until the last month or so that I've said to myself that what I'm going to do with my music is chronicle certain things that's in my book, go over things that's in my book, My Road to Damascus, a journey through mental health, spirituality that leads to personal development and liberation. I probably jumbled up the title, but the book is about my journey in life, childhood traumas. It's about the gifts that I have, the heartbreaks, some wins, some losses, but it's all truth. And I wrote it for primarily Black men of this hip hop culture who have been through things in life where, shit, if you Black, it's rough out here. And we go through all these trials and tribulations, and we're not allowed to express ourselves. We're not allowed to be vulnerable. Sometimes our very skin is a target to be murdered for no cause. Some of us are brought up in the gang culture. Some of us are brought up in the church culture. Some of us are brought up as athletes. And in each one of those facets of life, there are things that we endure that could be traumatic, that could be heartbreaking, that could be gut-wrenching. And because we have to be a man about it, stop being a sissy. You can't cry. Stop being a punk. You can't complain. Life is hard, so you just got to deal with it. So you have a bunch of angry, young to middle-aged Black men who have made it a practice to run away from whatever problems that they have because they've never been taught how to stand in the fire and deal with them. So when you have a boy who goes through trauma, more than likely, he's going to grow up into a man who has outbursts, who has substance abuse problems, a man who has I can't think of the word right now. But they don't even know that they're depressed. They don't even know that they have anxiety. All they know is when they hit that bottle, they feel better, or at least it numbs the pain. All they know is when they roll that blunt, hit that bowl, or hell, smoke that crack, snort that coke, that they can escape from that problem in a temporary way. Some of us have pain that's so deep that if they can just be high for 20 minutes to get rid of that pain, that's all they need to be able to operate. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the way to go. We've been trained wrong. You can't put it all on the parents, because the parents was in their own type of survival mode. Yes, there's challenges in every black community. If I just drive 25 minutes north, I'm in a goddamn war zone that at any time somebody can pull up, walk up, roll up, and start shooting whatever it is that they're aiming at. We live in this trauma. It's to the point that depression is a lifestyle for many of us. And I'm gonna raise my hand too. I've done the therapy, I've went to therapy, I write, I listen to music. But the pain still remains. Just a couple of months ago, I was just hoping and praying that I can just go to bed and just not wake up the next morning. We deal with these types of things as men while simultaneously having marriages, children, careers, jobs. For some of us, mistresses. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that we continue to build on top of the trauma. And then at some point, something's got to give. At some point, an individual can get to an area where they can no longer run from their problems, or the weed don't do nothing. It gets you high, but you're still depressed in your high. The liquor don't numb you no more like it used to. And the older you get, the worse that liquor do to your body. The older you get, the longer it takes to recover from that liquor. I remember when I was a young man in my early 20s to mid 20s and even into my early 30s, I can go out drinking and partying for days at a time and still be able to function. You can smell the liquor on me, but I'm still at work. You can smell you can look at me wobble from time to time as I'm walking around at work, but I'm still there and I'm performing, and sometimes even at a high level. But shit, in your 40s and your 50s. You have one night of drink and it seemed like you hemmed up for a whole week. When I was in the Navy, we were coming into this huge storm out at sea. And the captain came over the PA system and said, it's going to be rough. A storm is coming and we can't avoid it. And the waves outside of the storm will be so big that this little LP, was it LPD? I was on the LPD. The LPD, and that's a nice size. It's a nice size ship. You can probably get 1,000 people, 700 to 1,000 people on it. The waves would be too much for that ship to handle. So in order to handle and get through this storm, we are going to have to navigate ourselves to the eye of the storm. For those who don't understand what that is, the eye of the storm is the epicenter of the storm. It's the place where, to be honest, it's the safest space when you're out at sea. The hard part is just getting to the eye. So they got everything on their computers and they do their Dopplers or however they can see and navigate. And you talk about hell. Most of the ship is so seasick that they can't do nothing but stay in the bed. The other folks that can handle it, they doing that at their own risk. Because at any time, especially like me, I was a cook. You would have to tie everything down when you know that you're going through a storm. But there definitely could be things that you could forget to tie down. You can be hit by anything. You lose your balance. Bang your head on a metal wall or a table or something, and then you done. Once you get to the eye of the storm, it's not necessarily better, but it's a whole lot better than being on the outskirts of that, where the waves can get anywhere from 30 to 50, 60, 70 feet. Where definitely a ship like that would not be able to handle that. I'm saying all that to say this. Even though you didn't know no better, even though you didn't understand that not addressing that situation that happened between you and your dad, or that time that you were molested by your uncle, your auntie, and you ran from your whole life, and gradually it affected every relationship that you had been in up until that point. You didn't even know what it was because there were times where you ran from it so far that you buried it in your mind and in your heart. But it's just certain things that come out and trigger it. And at this point, you've probably lost many relationships. There's probably been good men or women who've come into your life who God sent you or the universe sent you to help bring this out of you. But you took it as some type of a disrespect, or you took it as something that you didn't want to hear, you didn't want to believe, you couldn't accept it. So you get into some big misunderstanding, and then you push that person away. You keep pushing people away. Next thing you know, you by yourself. And the way the universe works is, if you were meant to be here for a reason, if you got something in your life that you're here to do, But you have this incredible obstacle in front of you. This universe will throw the same trigger at you over and over and over and over and over and over again until you finally address it. Now, at this time, you are probably in a situation where you can't do nothing. You could have lost your family. You could have lost everything except your own life. And here you are dealing with this gargantuan of a problem. And it's just you and that problem. Right now, you are in the outskirts of it, where everything is at its absolute worst. There is no good. There's nothing good. You run into a chain of events where you just feeling like, God damn, can I get anything right? Is anything gonna go good for me? That's the universe signaling you that it's time. If you got a purpose, if you got a reason for being here, that purpose and that reason for being here is way bigger than the trauma that you've endured. But in order to get to that purpose, excuse me, y'all, but in order to get to that purpose, you're going to have to walk out in that field and deal with that Goliath you got. You're going to have to deal with it. The story of David and Goliath was not a real story that happened in historical times where you can go and you can chronicle and you can find the exact date that David killed Goliath. And if you don't believe me, try to Google it. They may come up with an approximate date, but they can't give you nothing concrete because it didn't happen. The story of David and Goliath was simple. Everybody ran from Goliath except this one little boy. Everybody runs from their problem, but it takes you finding that child in you that got scarred. That child, that's the one that's going to conquer your Goliath. So now there's guilt involved because you've actually been running from you. The trauma is one thing, but you abandon yourself running from the pain. And when you abandon yourself, you left that inner child there to suffer. And the guilt of that can be unbearable. To the point where people will unalive themselves out of self-guilt, out of self-hate. People will do bad things to their bodies because of their self-hate. They can't live the way they're meant to live because they haven't found the key to their own heart. They haven't found the love that they have for themselves. This is why you have so many young folks right now who are so detached from what life really is that they don't have no problem taking their life or the life of somebody else over the smallest of things. It's that guilt. Self-hate. What do I suggest you do? I suggest you reconcile with yourself. Forgive yourself. I suggest you, now that you're in the eye of the storm, or now that you're moving towards the eye of the storm, where the pain is at its worst, the number one thing that you could do is reconcile with that inner child of yours. Look at old girl up there. First edition of Under the Full Moon. There she is in the sky. It was just raining here about a couple hours ago. And I thought I wasn't going to be able to get out here tonight. But I'm grateful that I do have the opportunity. And I'm grateful for anybody and everybody who's going to be watching this. Thank you. But back to the lecture at hand. You're going to have to reconcile with your inner child. You're going to have to forgive yourself. And that's hard. There's this thing that's called shadow work. Shadow work is specifically to get you back to your inner child. Deal with your trauma and begin your process of healing. So is it just saying, I'm sorry to my inner child? Man, I wish it was that easy. Oh my God, I wish it was that easy. Because of all the pain, there's going to be a number of tears that will not even be able to be counted. And you're going to have to go through that heartache and those tears and that pain. You're going to have to go through all that. The next thing I suggest a person should do in this situation, I'm not a doctor. I'm just talking from experience. The next thing that I feel that you have to do is you have to search within yourself, and you're going to have to discover this beautiful gift that you have that's just for you. You're going to have to take yourself back to certain things that you enjoyed as a child that you don't even do today. For instance, over the last year, I've been going back and watching old boxing matches of the 70s and 80s. I'm a boxing head. My dad brought it to me when I was just a little boy, and I never left it. I call boxing my very first wife. So I go on YouTube, because it's free, you know. And all of my favorite fighters from my childhood is on that app. Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Larry Holmes, the Spinks brothers, Muhammad Ali, Julio Cesar Chavez, Hector Macho Camacho, Mike Tyson. I started watching these old fights. And little by little, it began to get me closer to my inner child. It brought me back to the innocence of myself. The part that's perfect. The part that does no wrong. The part that is nothing but pure love. And I'm saying that as I'm describing fighters of the most brutal sport in mankind. But that's what it does for me. I used to want to be a fighter and till that day where I found out that I really couldn't do that shit. I had all the technique, I had the speed, I had the power. But when that motherfucker hit me and my legs did a dance without the permission of my brain, bruh, nigga, you a rapper too, right? You better get that pen and that pad. You better find you some beats because, man, this shit right here ain't gonna cut it for you, youngster. So for boxing, it began to bring me back. And then I began to confront my younger self. I began to think about me. Think about that. Think about the moment that I actually left myself. Think about the abuse that I endured on that particular day. And the physical abuse is one thing, but the mental and emotional abuse is something totally different. And as I was sitting on that couch, suffering, tears, snot dribbling, part of me got up and walked away. And it wasn't until recently that I rediscovered that child. That's what boxing helped me to do. And then listen to the great lyricists of today. The Kendrick Lamars, the J. Coles, the Pusha T's, along with the Jay-Z's. And then, you know, I can take my trip down memory lane, and Dr. Dre's always good. You know, Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel's always good. Rakim's always good. Kate is always good. I fucking hate that they stopped doing the verses because it was such a nostalgia type of a thing for old heads like me. And I hope they pick that shit back up, man. All you MCs, man, if y'all ever get the chance to see this, put your pride to the side and do something for the culture. Do something for us. Because all it's gonna do is make you better, introduce that love that you all sparked as MCs for people like me, that encouraged me and inspired me to pick my pen up. You need to get to that inner child. And you need to love on that little motherfucker. You need to cry with him. You need to tell him you're sorry. And you know what he's gonna do? That inner child of yours? It's gonna forgive you without even flinching. You'll be amazed on how fast that little child that you once were will look back at you and run to you with the most beautiful hug. On a spiritual level. Don't happen for real. But you feel it in yourself. You understand the fact that the love that you have been trying to find this whole time was the love for yourself. That's the separation. You forgot how to love on yourself. So that gift, when you discover what that is, and you probably know what it is, the thing that comes to you the easiest, that you're most effective at. You don't necessarily have to be overly in love with it. But if you're the best cook in your family and you got a family full of great cooks, well, cooking is your gift. You better get your punk ass in that kitchen and start creating. Because that creating is going to bring you present. That's why they call it a gift. It brings you to the present. You can worry about monetizing that shit later. Right now, we just need something to get you present. We just need to get you in alignment with your own soul and your own self. And that, my friend, gets you to the eye of the storm. Okay? Now, once you get to the eye of the storm, that's a bit sketchy for me. Because right now I'm in the eye of the storm. And it don't feel good. But I know if I never tried to confront anything, if I never tried to deal with it, and I stayed on the outskirts of that storm, I don't even know if I'd be making this video for you right now. You understand? Getting to the eye of the storm, brutal 15-round fight. It's 15 rounds. There's no 12 rounds. You don't get a knockout. There's no TKO. You don't stop on cuts. You break your leg, you still got to fight. You have a heart attack. If you're alive after that heart attack, you still gonna have to fight. Just to get to the eye of that storm, it's painful, it's brutal. But if you're one of those folks who feel like you're here for a reason, it's necessary that you go through that. The number one thing that has kept me here right now has been my kids. I just want to be here for them. Sometimes I hate being here for myself. But sometimes you have to find something bigger than yourself to remain here so that whatever the universe has in store for you, at some point that shit's gonna come. Right now it's just me personally. I'm just not for no more bullshittery. I'm just not for no more nonsense. I want this shit to be over. Not as in my life, but I'm talking about something that's been going on for the past 5 years. You know, I spend a lot of time on TikTok, and it's this monumental shift that I don't think this has ever happened in the history of this country, in the history of this world, up to this particular point. But I see so many people putting that phone in their face and talking about their experiences. Some folks are leaving religion. Some folks are getting more enlightened in their religion. Some folks are being more spiritual, as I am. Some folks are getting into meditation. Everybody's questioning everything, because this world as we are in it right now is fucked the fuck up. Everything in it. It's white supremacy, racism. It's murders all the time. Viruses and diseases are rising up out of nowhere. People are just hating because they have forgotten that there is a such thing called love. All these people have walked away from their inner child. And you see the results of it in the world as we see it today. It's fucked the fuck up out here. But people are waking up. People are questioning things. People are trying to figure out what this matrix is that we're all dealing with at this particular point. This fucking video game that's controlled by sick individuals where there's no fair distribution of monies and funds. There's more homes available than homeless people. There's more homes out here than it is homeless people. I'm homeless. Technically, I'm homeless. I don't have a place of my own. And it's been killing me for like 2 years now. Well, a year now. I've been like this. It's hard, man. But get your way to the eye of the storm. And to get to the eye of the storm, you need to deal with that inner child you have. You need to love on it. You need to respect it. You need to remember it. Remember who the fuck you are. And understand that. And it's even, at this point, it's hard for me to believe, but I'm getting so many signals that, like the old songs say, trouble don't last always. It's tough people that last, not tough times. And like I've said, like at this point, I'm really having a hard time believing that myself. But something keeps me pushing. You can call it faith. You can even call it being delusional. But I just think that it's crazy to come this far and quit now. And that's what you got to have in your mind. I don't know if you're in the beginning of your storm. I don't know if you're in the beginning of your self-discovery. I don't know if you have put yourself in a situation where now you are learning new things and believing new things and understanding new things. I don't know where you are on your journey. But you just got to understand that if you've come this far, please stay with us. I can't promise you shit's going to get better. All I'm going to say is get to your gift, get to your inner child, write, go to therapy, listen to inspirational videos, listen to meditation music, meditate, get to yourself. Remember, figure out who the fuck you are. So when the storm finally dies down, even if you don't even know your name from Adam, you can breathe deep and thank God for that sun that's coming through. All right? Peace.